Read today Hebrews chapter 4, and I want to talk about the rest of God, or the Sabbath day. Many people today still have the veil over their faces, and so they keep the Sabbath day, or they do other works like paying tithes and keep the Sabbath day, and do all these the Old Testament works, which means that the veil is still over their eyes because Christ has not taken it away from their faces, because they still hold fast to the old laws. And so I want to read Hebrews chapter 4, which says, "Therefore, since a promise remains of entering his rest, let us fear, lest any of you seem to have come short of it. For indeed the gospel was preached to us as well as to them, but the word which they heard did not profit them, not being mixed with faith in those who heard it. For we who have believed do enter that rest, as he has said, So I swore in my wrath, they shall not enter my rest. Although the works were finished from the foundations of the world, for he had spoken in a certain place of a seventh day in this way. And God rested on the seventh day from all his works. And again in this place, they shall not enter my rest. Since therefore it remains that some must enter it, and those to whom it was first preached did not enter because of disobedience, again he designate a certain day, saying in David, Today, after such a long time, as it has been said, Today, if you will hear his voice, do not harden your hearts. For if Joshua had given them rest, then he would not afterward have spoken of another day. There remains therefore a rest for the people of God, for he who has entered his rest has himself also ceased from his works, as God did from his. Let us therefore be diligent to enter that rest, lest anyone fall according to the same example of disobedience. For the word of God is living and powerful, sharper than any two-edged sword, piercing even to the division of soul and spirit, and of joints and marrow, and is a discerner of the thoughts and intents of the heart. And there is no creature hidden from his sight, but all things are naked and open to the eyes of him to whom we must give an account. Seeing then that we have a great high priest who has passed through the heavens, Jesus, the Son of God, let us hold fast our confessions. For we do not have an high priest who cannot sympathize with our weaknesses, but was in all points tempted as we are, yet without sin. Let us therefore come boldly to the throne of grace, that we may obtain mercy and find grace to help in time of need. Dear friends, basically this is so clear that there is a rest for the people of God. A rest that God intended us to have before the foundation of the world. And it's a promise that we must strive to enter into this rest. We must fear lest we do not enter into this rest. And this rest that he's talking about is not a Sabbath day like Saturday, as many people take it. This rest, do you know that Jesus Christ is that Sabbath? He is the rest, because as he said later on in verse chapter 4, that if Joshua had given them that rest by getting into the land of Canaan, then God would not speak of another day, which means that the day that he's talking about is Jesus Christ, the Sabbath. He is the rest. He is the Lord of the Sabbath. And when Jesus comes inside of you, well, the veil will remove from your eyes. When he is your Lord, you will enter into his rest. He said, come unto me, all ye that are labored and heavy laden, and I will give you rest. He is the rest. And so when you have Jesus living on the inside of you, you will cease from all your works. You will cease from paying tithes. You will cease from going to church on the Sabbath, saying, okay, I'm keeping the Sabbath. You will cease from all the different works that you normally would do, because Jesus Christ will become your peace. He is your peace, who has broken down the wall of partition, or that wall that separates us from God. And so when we come to Jesus Christ, he is the rest that the saints of God desire. When you have Jesus, you don't need to go back and dig up the law and resurrect that law and say, I'm going to do it. No, you don't need that, because Jesus will give you peace. He will give you that rest, that serenity, that joy, that peace, that patience, that goodness, and you will be fulfilled when you have the rest of the Sabbath. And so the Bible is saying to us that those who try to do work, and work is when you don't have faith. For example, you have the Israelites. Many of them still hold on to the works, and so it did not mix with faith. You see, you need to trust in the Sabbath, Jesus Christ and Jesus alone. Jesus and circumcision don't work. Jesus and tithing don't work. Jesus and ministry don't work. It's Jesus, faith in Jesus and Christ alone will save you. And so I'm encouraging us, let us strive to enter into this rest. And when you enter into the rest of God, what it means is that you obey God. You obey what he says. You listen to what he says. You keep complying to his words, because you have entered into the day of rest. You cease from all your works. You cease from all these things that you think, oh, I have to do this. I have to do this. I have to do that. You don't have to do anything when you meet Jesus. When you meet Jesus, you just obey him. You just comply to what he says. And that's the rest of God. And he will give you a peace. Are you troubled today? He's saying that today is an opportunity to enter the rest of God. If you hear his voice, do not harden your heart. For he talked about Joshua. If Joshua gave them that rest, he would not have talked about another rest that they should try to achieve. So let us therefore be diligent to enter the rest, lest anyone fall according to the same example of disobedience. Don't go back to the law. Don't go back to all these things that you know you can't do. It doesn't matter how long or how many times you try to not sin. You and I know we will sin. But when Jesus come and does a work on the inside, according to Ezekiel 36, verse 16 to the end, which is my favorite chapter in the Bible. When Jesus comes in and he begin to take out the old heart out of us and give us a heart of flesh, I tell you, we will not want to sin anymore, which means we have entered into the rest of God. And it's the word of God that we love. And he said that the word of God is living and powerful and sharper than any two-edged sword. It's the word of God that does the separation from the world to God. Nothing else, dear friends. So stick to the word of God, abide by the word of God, and you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free, and you will have the joy of the Lord, which is your strength. Well, good.